Arkansas, and I was telling people about, cob houses and everything, and people were just kind of looking at me weird. So it's it's nice talk to you and do this so I can show people, hey, this dude's real, like he's out out here. And you started off in the industry I'm currently in, which is interesting. You said you started off in
Mhm.
digital marketing, and
Yep.
then you've kind of migrated. I don't even know if migrated is the right word, but now you're taking the skills that you learned doing that, right? But you're doing something else. You were working with agencies before or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. After college, I decided to go into digital marketing and I worked for a couple agencies in Atlanta. Um, and, I quickly found out it wasn't really my kind of thing. The skill sets were interesting. Um, the marketing, the analytics and website design and all that stuff it was really fun for me, but not really doing it for other people's businesses. Um, so yeah, it was fun applying it to my own stuff and being creative, creating something creative, and then advertising that creativity. All the marketing skills. It was a good balance
Mm.
for me.
Yeah, it's have you? Yeah, I've seen you apply it, on like YouTube and stuff, and you building out your digital product. When did you decide? Well, we don't have to get into that right now, but I do at one point want to talk about your digital course. That's something I think more people, more business owners, more experts could be doing, right? Just to make a little bit of extra income at the very least, like a skilled carpenter or an
Right.
accountant. Um,
Yeah.
but how long have you been building with Cobb now? Which is, we can kind of go ahead and just do a soft roll here, but Cobb is like earthen building for those tuning in. It's building with dirt.
hmm Yeah.
How long
Very
have you been
different
doing that?
from the technical computer stuff. Yeah, I started kind of taking it seriously 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. And then I taught my first class in, I think it was 2014. Um, and just a little bit more background, I guess, for anybody thinking of building or maybe making a career change, who knows? I didn't come from any kind of building, construction, architectural, or engineer background. I studied accounting in college and then marketing as well on the side. So all these skills with building, I learned through self-taught, trial and error, learning from other teachers and mentors, but nothing like certified schooling or anything like that.
Yeah. You mentioned for people that might be considering maybe a career change, do you think that like the earthen building construction sector has potential for people to like, I mean, you've clearly done it, but what do you think about that? Like how big do you think the industry is for people that want to, or is that how people should approach it first? Does that make sense?
Yeah, um, it's not a big industry, if you could even call it an industry yet, because it's still really grassroots. Um, there's been developments, I think positive developments since I started over a decade ago now, such as various codes like the Cobb code, the straw clay code, hempcrete code, straw bale code, things like that. Those are, I think those are steps in the right direction to bringing these building methods more mainstream for people. But there's not really like an industry created yet. It's just kind of teachers here and there, like myself, showing kind of by example. Then there's engineers and architects here and there. These are people who've developed the codes mostly. Um, there's a lot of people interested, but it's hard to like actually get things in motion a lot of times still. Still requires a lot of planning and um, sometimes extra money.
Hmm. You mean
Um,
when organizing a workshop or something like that?
yeah, for people who want to like organize workshops, like myself. Um, sorry, my cat's in
There's a
the
cat poking
window.
into the window I see back there.
Yeah, I can go close the curtains if you want.
Hey, whatever you want
Um,
to do.
we'll see if she gets bored. Um, yeah, but it's tough. The honest truth about getting into this, let's just call it industry of natural building, if you want to call it that, or earthen building, it's hard. Um, I've seen a lot of people try to make a foothold in it since I started, and most all of them fail because they don't have the business and marketing skills. That's key.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's key for anything. And I got to say that it can be hard. And I've made I've just made one earthen building video just for fun, and there's a lot that goes into that. The recording, I've got another one kind of sitting on the hard drive waiting to be edited. But you got to record something that takes a long time to do, period, and then do all the marketing for it. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's tough. Let me just
um,
close my curtain here. My
yeah,
cat's peeking
no
in the
worries.
window.
Cats are
She
coming
wants to
in.
come join.
In Tennessee, how hot is it in Tennessee right now? In your
Uh, it's
neck of the
been
woods?
it's been pretty hot here the past month. Nothing crazy, but low to mid 90s maybe, and just the humidity that kind of
Yeah.
trains you.
And you're sitting in a straw clay house, right? That's the straw clay.
Right. Yeah, this is
And how is how you find the temperatures in there?
it's been okay. I don't have any AC system in here. Um, I have windows for air ventilation, and I have electricity so I can put fans on in here, and it's pretty comfortable. If you don't use fans, it'll get hot in here because um, there hasn't been a lot of wind lately to move the air through here, and it's a highly insulated building, and so it does hold the heat from the day, and it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
process that hot air out.
Yeah. It's with our build that we're planning, I'm planning a passive cooling house with no air conditioning, no like, modern air conditioning. That's the idea anyways. And it definitely has me a little nervous, because it's in Arkansas and the temps are very similar to Tennessee. In fact, it's been a little bit
Mhm.
hotter here recently. It's been as high as like 105 on the heat index,
Yeah,
and it's humid.
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm thinking that uh, ventilation, some sort of passive ventilation, is going to be. I don't know how much that'll affect it though. Have you ever experienced like the build you're in right now is pretty much a cube. I don't know how big it is, but it's small. Have you had experience building out larger buildings without modern AC?
I haven't installed an AC unit in any of my structures to this point.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but it's all about airflow. Um, Christoph's building is still under construction. The walls are all up, except the gable ends are still open. And just because the gable ends are still open, the air just is constantly being processed through that structure. And even in the heat right now, it stays cool in there. Um,
That's good to
but
hear.
I kind of attribute that just to the airflow mostly.
Okay, so kind of a question. Someone that's planning, say, 1,000 square foot cob building. Th- um, do you think that good passive ventilation, good ventilation, will be enough, like to keep your family comfortable during the hot? Like we had to plan for that hottest day, right? The hottest day in the summer. what do you think that would look like temperature wise, differentials, from the outside?
If it's a cob structure,
Hmm.
and suppose if it has a really well insulated roof and ceiling, um, that alone, that setup can help regulate the indoor temperature a lot. But I feel like you'll still need good airflow to really just have no AC system or no fans in there and feel comfortable. Like, I mean, but if you compare it to a conventional stick frame structure with no AC in it, a cob structure is going to be much more comfortable without any kind of
Yeah,
um, AC
because
system.
theoretically, it's like absorbing the cold energy at night, right? That's where it kind of
Yeah,
absorbs that in.
yeah. There's a lot of science to the whole thermal mass properties. Um, but basically, cob helps to regulate the indoor temperature, like very nice and steady throughout the 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Whereas like a conventional wood stick frame structure, temperature is going to spike very high,
Hmm.
especially in the day. And then like in the summer, it's just going to stay pretty high and it'll lower gradually at night, but then just spike again as soon as it heats up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. And you know, if anyone wants to learn the technical details of earthen building and cob, really recommend your YouTube channel. Chances are, if they're interested in it, they've probably already found your YouTube channel. It's one of the few out there. But so as you started cob in 2010. You started learning about 2010, 2011. And then by 2014, you started teaching your first class. So in that 3 year time span, I was curious, like, were you doing this? In what capacity were you building things?
um, yeah, I was just picking up the basics, really taking classes with other teachers, absorbing as much information as I could from books and videos. There wasn't as much stuff out there. There was stuff, but not as much as there is now, which is a good thing that it's getting bigger. But yeah, just kind of had to piece it together, little piece by piece, and um, also kind of create my own style or kind of principles of building.
Hmm.
Um, because everybody does it differently. Building is really an art as well as a science. Um, and so I find that fun too. So I was able to kind of make my
Yeah.
own way of building in a way. It's nothing. I didn't really invent anything, but I put different pieces together in different ways that a lot of other natural builders, if you want to call them that, they don't do that way. And so I kind of found my own little niche that works for me, and um, a lot of other people have found that interesting as well.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. As someone that's scouted around YouTube and read some books on the topic, you definitely kind of have your niche. And I don't even know how I would describe it. Someone that's more like, here, let me see. What does this word mean? What does pragmatic mean? Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Pragmatic, dealing with things sensibly and realistically. Yeah, yeah, I'd say so because you have the form system that you didn't necessarily make, but you've been like pioneering it kind of in this area, the country,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, yeah. I don't take credit for inventing it, but I do like to use a form system for cob now. But that form system also applies to the straw material and the rammed earth material. So, but yeah, I didn't create the form system, but I'm one of the few people, at least here in the States, that's applying it. The cob form method is actually old. dates back, as far as I know, at least to the 1800s in the UK. They called it shuttered cob. Now they have a more up-to-date method that a group called Caubage created. That was a French-British research team. So that's really where I get that system from. So yeah, I don't take credit for inventing it or anything, but um, I'm one of the few people here in the States that I know of, at least, that's applying it. And so far, it's been extremely successful, I think. And it's something um, I think would be a good direction to go um, for getting cob structures more mainstream as well.
Yeah. And for everyone listening, the form system lets Alex build faster. I don't know how much faster, to be honest, Alex. You can maybe comment on that in a second, but also work with a drier cob mix. So it takes less time to dry and achieve very straight lines, versus traditionally cob would kind of be like hand built, and then you may have like issues with keeping everything, what's the word? Plumb.
Like, yeah, level,
Yeah.
plumb. Yeah.
So if you had to like say, okay, this wall, if I use the form system, it'll take this amount of time. Say one of the walls behind you, or the walls over in one of your other cob
hmm
structures, versus without the form system. Do you think it's twice as fast or 10%? What would you say?
At least twice as fast. Yeah.
Wow,
Maybe more,
that's pretty,
but
pretty, pretty big
yeah.
difference right there.
Not, the speed of the building is not the only advantage. Um, it's like you said, you can make a drier mix, and so you get less cracking in the walls as they dry. Um, it's just a much more efficient way to build. And you get those, like you said, the straight plumb walls. Not everybody wants that, but it's a great way to do it if you do. And actually, I have a whole list of benefits. I can't even recall them all off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
um,
that was something I was not looking forward to before I took your workshop. I wasn't like hating it, but like I don't know, the idea of like the straight wall. I thought in my head like, oh, I want the walls that look organic and look like cob. And then after taking your workshop, I realized um, that it still looks really cool. And if you really want that, not only do you get all these benefits structurally and speed, you can always just go back over it at the end with a wet cob mix and give it that look,
yeah.
which I probably would do. Round out some of the corners,
hmm
add some sculptural elements if you want to. So
Yep.
I think that was something that maybe other people felt too in the course or the workshops, or just out there online, like they see the straight walls. But don't let that stop you, because it's pretty pretty nice setup. How many years have you been doing that now? I guess about since you
Uh,
started, or is that something that you found along the way?
no, no, that's more. I think I started kind of the experiments with the forums probably maybe 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
And so I started really small, just testing, working my way up. So now I've done, um, the building that you saw at the workshop. It's only 120 square feet, um, but it's a full building using that system, and it was extremely successful. And so just scaling it up from this point is no problem.
that's good. I'm going to share my screen with everybody here. I just have a few questions for you, Alex, about your YouTube. You've been really consistent with it. Like if we look at, see the last video. Oh, hey, look at
Yeah,
that.
there you are. I just put that up yesterday.
I did not see that. So cool. Testimonial from me on that last day. That was cool. But you've been doing this for years, man. Like you've just been
Yeah.
releasing videos for years. And like, how did you know? When did it start to pay off, I guess? And how did you know it would?
Well, I didn't know that it would pay off. But I kind of had a formula or a plan. Um,
You had a
just
definite plan. Do you remember the plan?
just kind of like, well, I had the YouTube channel, I had the website, and like Pinterest and Facebook, and I don't even think Instagram was around back then. Basically, just kind of funneling all those viewers into an email list and building the email list. That was kind of the plan from the start, and then eventually creating ebooks and video courses, and of course in-person classes, and it all it all worked out just as planned.
That's awesome.
But I
That's
mean,
awesome.
it all ultimately comes down to the value that you're bringing to your viewers. Um, it's not just a mathematical formula or marketing formula. It always comes down to solving people's problems, I think, and bringing value to people.
Yeah, it does. It does. You can't if you don't have a good product, you're not providing value. You can get people to look at you once, but they're not going to look at you twice or thrice. But a lot of people don't have the persistence you've had in just the video after video after video. So that's awesome. Do you think that your business would be where it's at today? Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your full time focus now. You are
Yeah.
now full time doing This Cob House. Do you think it would be where it's at today without the YouTube channel, or do you think that's been like
No,
a key
definitely
element?
not. Yeah, YouTube has been key. Absolutely. I've had a lot of different channels, websites, and article writing and social media.
Hmm.
But YouTube has been critical to, really showing what this is. Video, people just want to watch video these days. Makes sense. And I guess YouTube is what, like the second largest search engine.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I guess
so,
so. Owned by the largest search engine,
or yeah,
Google. So there you go.
yeah. So no, I don't think I would have it without YouTube or video, let's just say. I mean, if there was some other main video website everybody watched, it would be
Yeah,
that one instead. But I think video is the
yeah.
format to go with.
It's definitely that's how I found you. Found you on YouTube. So I think you're doing a lot of things that are working well for you on there. Um, what do you think the future, like as far as the natural building, and maybe just you and this Cobb house? Where do you think the future's going? Do you have a vision for anything you're trying to put together?
Just my personal work.
Yeah, the business, your personal. I know
Mhm.
you have the lands, right, that you host your workshops from, and you're building a sweet cob
Yeah,
compound.
yeah. I think my long-term plans for work, um, I'm gonna keep teaching, um, for probably the same capacity I have been, and I'm kind of steering away from actually constructing buildings for people, and leaning more towards consulting for people's projects and design work for people's projects. Um, I mean, just personally, I can't do the labor that's required um, for actually building people's things. Um, but labor, I mean, you can teach people how to do this stuff. I think really easily. It just takes the right design and the right planning,
Hmm.
and I mean, really anybody can do this. And again, I mean, I didn't have building background. It took me a long time to get the skills I have now, but um, you could get any. I think you could get any general contractor or builder with any level of experience building normal homes, and you give them a little bit of education, they can put a team together and put one of these buildings up. It's nothing really that out of the ordinary. Most of it still requires the same skill sets. There's a lot of carpentry involved. Um, so literally you could get a team of builders who build regular houses and just teach them how to make cob, and I don't think they'd have any problem.
Yeah. And then it's just a matter of, I guess, if everyday people becoming aware of cob, and seeing all the
Yep.
benefits it has and why it's pretty cool. My dad is the one that put me on it. He handed me that book by Yonto Evans.
Hmm.
Um, that's kind of when I discovered everything and started looking stuff up. I
Yeah.
think as just like just an average person in the sphere of, I'm interested in natural building. Something I wish existed. Like your channel is great. There's a few other channels that are really good. I wish there was a place. Um, Permies is kind of like this a little bit, but it was one place you could go and have a whole bunch of information about like really digging into maybe passive solar design, those kind of things, passive cooling, or the design elements, and you do have a bit of that with your course, um, quite a bit of it actually. But I don't know, that could be interesting one day. Whoever builds out I see this happening in like these other niches. For example, I'll show you. I like to skydive, Alex. Would you ever go skydiving?
Oh, no, no, I've never been skydiving.
Well,
Yeah, I heard you were the avid
we'll have to
skydiver.
get it out one day. We'll have to try it. But so in the skydiving world, it's kind of like the earth. It's probably a bit bigger than earthen building, but it's still a very niche thing. Like there's not a ton of people that have gotten into it, and only recently has there been like a company kind of do what you've been doing and put together courses. There really surprisingly hasn't been like any digital course. Like only two parties
Well,
I know of have done this. So they
that's
put
surprising.
together this platform that you can pay like whatever a month, and then they go around and they record these little mini courses with different experts at these little sub categories. So like flying with a camera
Hmm.
on your head. Did I lose you? No, it just, we might have lost you. We get you back.
Hey, I'm back.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. Um, I don't know where it cut out, so I'll just share my
Mm,
screen again. But
yeah.
camera flying, just different things that a skydiver might want to do. They got little courses on that, and you can just go through their platform. Um, I don't know. I mean, Alex, if you
Yeah,
ever
that's
made
cool.
anything like this for Earthen Building, or if anyone did, I'd be checking it out. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's a good format to do it in. Um, I've always felt like more people should be making video courses. I've tried to help a lot of people over the years, and
how does that
um,
go, man? How does it? Because that's kind of in a spot I'm in where I want to help these experts like make courses, sell their stuff, sell their knowledge. So how's it gone when you've tried to help people?
um, my experience has been little disappointing, I guess, because people, they want to do something and they understand the idea. Oh yeah, video course, and but I guess they just don't realize how much work and energy it takes to put in to actually make one. I mean, not it doesn't really take that much, really, but I think people just have motivation problems a lot of the time. And
Yeah,
starting something new from scratch is just intimidating for them. I know platforms these days are easier. There's so many new video course platforms. It's so easy to make a website, and the video course is easier these days. But I think it's just like a big hurdle for a lot of people. They just can't take the first step.
yeah, it is. Like you said, most people they aren't willing to take. They're not willing to be persistent. You've had over 100, 200 uploads. Like most people that start a YouTube channel aren't gonna ever get close to that because it's easy to quit. And I can say that because I've been somebody that has quit that easily in the past. So I get it. But yeah, a little side note, Alex. There's this. Do you have any co-working spaces in Tennessee that you're aware of? Are you familiar with the co-working space concept?
Like an open office space
Yeah,
kind
kind
of
of like
thing.
an open office. Different companies may utilize it for different purposes. That kind of thing.
Mm. Well, I don't know of any. I used to know of some when I lived in Atlanta, but
Mm.
not out here. I don't think so. But probably in nearby
Yeah,
cities to
bit
here.
bit
Yeah,
bit larger of an area. Yeah, yeah. I'd be
yeah.
surprised if there was one out your way. But so this thing is coming to my town, Russellville, Arkansas, and it's being like renovated right now, and it's basically a little innovation hub where they're having like co-working and et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to be setting up a studio in here. We
Mm.
worked out the details. We're going to have a little content studio where the idea is that we use it for a lot of different purposes, but one of those is going to be uh, giving those people that you've tried to help, I guess, but in our community, a platform to come in and record video courses and help them with editing it and maybe creating the websites and everything.
Nice.
I don't know. That's the idea. That's kind of where I feel a lot
Yeah,
of good energy and focus,
yeah.
ability to
That
focus
sounds
on.
like a really valuable service. Um, because a lot of people have so much to share. Um, from their own experiences or skills or whatever. It's just a matter of them kind of getting in front of a camera to record it, and they have the value to share. They just sometimes
Yeah,
can't do the filming and editing and uploading and
yeah,
all that.
or the planning. Yeah,
The
that's one
planning.
thing. We're
Yeah,
gonna have to figure out how we can help them plan it.
yeah.
But yeah, that'll be exciting.
Hmm.
It's a struggle sometimes for me because like I have this business I need to focus on, but I also have to focus on developing a property now and building out a cob house. So I don't know. How do you see most of your students that are successful at getting what they want, which is the cob house or whatever that might be? Do they typically like make this the number one priority, or do you notice any patterns there with people that end up making it happen?
Um, yeah, I don't know necessarily if it's got to be a big priority though. I think for
Yeah,
anybody, um, at least the people I've worked with, the students I've had that have gone on to actually construct for themselves. Because it's a big investment, time wise and money wise, to build any kind of structure, especially a cob home or a cob structure, because there's more labor involved. It does take longer. That's one of the disadvantages, but it lasts a lot longer and it's much higher quality. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's all about that persistence and dedication. And if you don't have that, I just don't know how you make it a reality.
yeah. Are you ever having to dispel the idea that cob is like there's these YouTube videos that we can pull up right now where it's like, hey, I built the cob house for $100, you know, and then people watch that. Do they ever get to you and then you kind of have to set them straight on that, or
Yeah. Um, but it just depends what people want. Cob is just, I don't know, a material, and you can use that material in whichever way or style you want. Like you could go out into the wilderness with just an axe or a shovel, and you could build a cob house for free. Or you could get hire an engineer and an architect and design a multi-million dollar cob house with permits and everything. Just depends what you want. So the spectrum is unlimited. Um, I've got my own style. I'm trying to create cob homes that are ideally permitted. That's the direction I'm going in. But I'm not against building cheap, low cost cob homes. It's just not my style. It's just not the way that I teach. Um, Everything has its own place, and purpose. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, you can you can build a cob house for $100 if you want to.
Yeah.
There's a way.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. It is, like you said, it's a lot of what you want out of it. Um, that's just kind of one of the first things that caught my eye. I was like, oh, I can build a cob house for $100. And then you watch the video and it's like he did it for $100, but there's nothing inside of it, and that's okay because he's like a single dude with a guitar and, you know, but building a home for a family with kids and something that
Yeah,
won't get your family concerned at you and like calling DHS. I guess, yeah, get more
yeah,
time and energy and money
yeah,
definitely required.
yeah. There's a lot of variables to consider when building a home. Um, if you're, like you said, if you're going to build a home for you and your family, you don't want to be taking risks like, uh, you want to make sure you have permissions to actually build that home and live in it and not get evicted one day and be homeless, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to take it seriously, um, depending on your situation.
Okay. So, as someone who isn't a teacher, I don't really, I know what I learned at the workshop, and I built a cob stove recently, actually, a little rocket
Cool.
stove. Um, when it comes time for me to really get a bulk of the work done, of course, a lot of planning will go into this, but how would you recommend I secure the labor for my house? Do you think, I've heard of these groups that will go around. You pay them some money, or you let them camp on your land. They just show up, and then you construct, right? And I don't know where to find these groups, but I've heard of them. I've heard whispers.
Hmm. Um, so I guess saying if you had a design and you were ready to build your house, you just needed the labor.
Yeah, say I was ready to. I already maybe had parts of it done. Just here, I'm ready to build the walls. The exterior
Hmm.
cob walls. I have this week. How would you recommend getting those people outside of just my friends? That may come.
Yeah.
What do you see people doing?
Um, well, some people hold workshops. It's kind of a trade in a way. It's people receive education on how to build, and then they put in the labor for you.
Yeah,
So that's one option. But then, there's a whole, it's not that easy to put on a workshop, which a lot of people don't understand. Because you got to be able to get your, it's just more marketing. You got to advertise it out there. Otherwise, nobody's going to come.
yeah,
So you can try workshops. There's forums and things you can post. And there's incentives. If you really needed people, you could you could probably post a few things and maybe offer it at really low cost or free, and you'd get people show up. Um, there's always you could probably always find volunteers, and then woofers. I don't know if you've heard of woofing.
yeah.
It's like a
Work on a farm or something.
yeah, it's like kind of like a volunteer work trade program. But yeah, I mean finding I don't know, finding good labor's always challenging. Um, if it's unskilled labor, you don't I don't know, it's easier. Building cob walls with the forming system really requires unskilled labor. Um, you probably need one or two people who know what they're doing, and then the rest are are able to build the cob walls without really, they can learn in a day very easily.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
I
and
don't have a very clear answer on where to get labor, but yeah,
yeah, and it's all good. I was just curious if you had seen things work better for people generally. Like I'm planning on getting this. people around here. I've pitched the idea to a few groups and they seem really excited by it. But
Hmm.
so anyways, Alex, let's talk a little bit about your consultation. So if I or anybody, right, has how will you help us design a home, right? We come to you. Do you handle the whole process? Of course, this is a service you provide, or how does that work?
Yeah, the consulting services I offer are kind of in the early stages still. Um, I mean, I've been consulting for a number of years now,
Hmm.
um, and it's not a whole lot different from what I do at the classes in person. Basically, just answering people's questions on how to kind of how to get one of these structures put up, um, how to get through the hoops and the obstacles, um, and then designing. I can do design, um, but it's not stamped like by an architect or an engineer. So I do more of the, I guess, kind of creative, initial
Hmm.
creative stages, maybe you could say, and then that plan has to be taken to the architect and the engineer, depending on what approvals you
Yeah.
need.
Well, I don't want. Yeah, I guess that is something people have to worry about. Our land is completely unregulated, so I'm lucky in that aspect. That
Yeah,
if I wanted to build
yeah,
someone super unsafe, there's no one there to stop me. But we'll
yeah,
get we'll build it right.
yeah, and yeah. If you want to build without permits, you can find counties that don't have building codes or very few building codes and regulations, and it makes this whole thing a lot easier. That's why most people still build cob homes out in rural country counties. But some of these country counties are just as strict. So just because you're out in the country doesn't always mean it's less strict. But yeah, look for properties in counties with no building codes or fewer building codes and a piece of property with no regulations, no HOAs. So you can pretty much do what you want. And I have more information in that or on that topic in my book, my ebook.
Okay. And is the ebook something people can buy, or is it free, or we'll
Ebook,
add all that information down below. But
yeah, the ebook is actually free. So you can just go to my website, thiscobhouse.com, and you can download that for free.
awesome. And you also have a course, digital course, all about which I still need to really get into because I imagine it goes into more detail than the workshops on some topics like the 3D design. That'll be good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, the video course is really comprehensive. There's there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't get to cover at the hands-on workshops just because we're limited on time. Um, so you might find some extra nuggets in there of information. Plus, I just updated the video course a couple months ago, documenting the entire construction of the cob structure built using the forms. So if you want to see videos now, and these are not on YouTube, these are only in my new video course. Um, if you want to see how I built that new cob structure, foundation all the way to the roofing, and of course the walls and the forming system, that's all included in there now. So that's brand new. That's a big update.
That's awesome. That is great. Well, everyone listening, you can find all of Alex's information down below if you're interested in learning. And, for any business owners that have been listening, take note because, like, this is somebody that's taken their expertise and turned it into a business that now sustains him. So that's cool. And, I guess all that experience and whatnot you had in digital marketing with the agencies paid off in that way.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. I've I always tell people, um, I wouldn't have this business. I wouldn't be where I am today without the marketing skills, the digital marketing skills.
Absolutely. So, last question for you, Alex. I just have to know, how's the rammed earth wall doing? Is it is it completed?
Great, great. Yeah, it looks the same as when we pulled the forms off at the workshop.
Nice.
Um, yeah, it's doing great. Um, we'll see how it does through the winter. I'm not worried about it. It's so resilient. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's completely under the elements, and so far, it, you know, perfect still.
That's good.
So
That's
yeah,
good.
it's exciting.
I've got a little, like I mentioned earlier, a rocket stove made out of cob on a little concrete footer, and it's not doing too hot. I put some lime plaster on it. It's kind
Mm,
of experimenting. I bought some sand, some paver sand from Lowe's, and then some garden lime. Mix that together, and then I did not cure the lime after I put the plaster on. So it, I guess to cure it, you have to like wrap it in some plastic wrap, and then that
mm.
carbon put off like cures it or whatever. But yeah, no, it's kind of washed washed away, and it's exposed into the elements right now. So, but that's kind of what it was. It was a test to see what was going on.
Yeah, yeah. I could give you some advice on the lime plaster too. It might help. Um,
Yeah, I'll send you. I'll email you some pictures of it later, and you can kind of see what happened to it.
yeah, a lot of the times that agricultural lime, um, it's not really designed chemically, I guess, for building purposes, and so it doesn't cure very well, I think.
Hmm.
But I can give you some information on where to get builder's lime. Um, just for anybody out there interested in the lime application, look for type S lime or natural hydraulic lime. They're not really easily accessible in the United States anymore like they used to be, because Portland cement took over the industry. But they are out there. You just have to find a source for it, and that's going to get you the kind of plaster that you want to
And do you
cover your
have
house.
a source on the hydraulic line?
The NHL natural hydraulic lime, you can Google it. Um, I know, I think it's Lancaster Lime Works, I believe, is one website. And I think most of that stuff you'll get, it comes from um, the Northeast United
Mm.
States, because there's a lot of historical renovation work up there, and that's what they use for the renovation work. But you can order from shops up there. A lot of that lime actually, I think, comes from France and overseas, but it is accessible here. And then masonry supply stores, your local city masonry supply usually has type S lime, and the type S lime is really good as well, and it's a little cheaper.
Cypress. Okay. So yeah, no. Quick question, just to follow up on that. This lime right here is a gallon for $28. So a gallon to lime. Once we complete the mixture, which I know you have videos on YouTube that I can go watch about that. Once you complete the mixture, how much plaster does a gallon of hydraulic lime get you? How many gallons do you find yourself ordering to do, like, say, the house you're sitting in right now?
Mhm. So that must be a lime putty. So lime putty is comes in the gallon or a tub like that. Usually
Mm.
what I do is I'll buy bagged powdered lime, and then you just mix it yourself, and it goes a lot farther for your money that way,
Mm.
and really the same quality outcome. So the lime putties is going to cost more, but it's not necessary.
Natural hydraulic lime, and this is yeah. There we go. That's what we were looking
Yeah,
for.
the NHL 3.5
3.5.
um,
Okay.
in the bag. Let's see.
So there's
That
the
looks,
55-pound bag, probably what we're talking about. So
yeah,
that 55 pounds, is that, like, say to do your, house you're sitting in, how many bags would you buy? Would you buy 10, 2? Just
yeah, to
trying to.
do like one of my small buildings, you could probably buy 10 bags and do 2 coats inside and out with that much.
Okay.
And there's more sand in the mix than there is lime. For example, you'd probably have 2 to 3 parts sand to 1 part lime. So you need more sand than you do lime actually for the plaster. So that makes it cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
And
Well,
it'll say on the bag as well, usually how many square feet it'll cover.
okay. Excellent. Well, thank you for entertaining some of these technical questions and coming on and just talking to us about, what you do and how you've done it today.
Sure, anytime.
Really,
Yeah,
really appreciate the
it'd be fun to
conversation,
do another
Alex.
one sometime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a good rest of your day. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Go check out Alex down below. All of his information will be down there. And you can check out thiscobhouse.com. We're on YouTube.
Thanks, Tal.